Hi everyone, I'm Laogao. Today we'll discuss near-death experiences again. We've talked about two cases before. A film called Heaven, and another called The Answer to Everything. Besides these two cases, there are numerous near-death experience cases worldwide. Interestingly, the content of these experiences is very similar. Typically, one enters a dark tunnel with a distant light, which becomes brighter as they move forward. After passing through this light, they see a sea of flowers, or a meadow, and in the distance, there is a river, possibly the River of Life. After crossing the river, they see deceased relatives. Moreover, everyone who has had a near-death experience says that during it there's basically no pain or discomfort, and it feels quite comfortable. They additionally experience an out-of-body sensation, observing themselves from a third-person perspective nearby. These shared experiences appear in people from various countries. They may have different religious beliefs, but the experiences are very similar. Ancient near-death experiences were likely similar. Concepts like the river Styx and Mengpo have been passed down through time. People today also witness similar scenes, indicating it's not tied to any specific era. Throughout history, near-death experiences have been similar. Today, I've found two special cases to share. The first is about a man in Tokyo, now 58. When he was 18, 40 years ago, he felt hopeless and decided to end his life. Yes, suicide is indeed quite rare. Near-death experiences themselves are rare, and among them, cases of suicide are even rarer. How did he attempt suicide? Well, he really liked riding motorcycles. So, he decided to commit suicide through a traffic accident by riding his motorcycle and crashing into a truck. He actually did it, which is not good.
Certainly, without a doubt.
However, he didn't die, so that's why he had a near-death experience. After he crashed, he was conscious for a short period. He remembers saying that after being thrown into the air, he was in immense pain all over his body, and at that moment he deeply regretted choosing such a method to attempt suicide. However, he quickly lost consciousness. Later, he was taken to the hospital by ambulance, but he doesn't remember the process of being taken there. He woke up during resuscitation. Initially, he didn't grasp the situation and didn't know he was in a hospital. He saw himself in a room with many people rushing around trying to save him, with machines beeping. Later, when he realized it, he thought, right, I just attempted suicide, this must be a hospital. At that moment, he saw himself from a third-person perspective. It's not lying there seeing the ceiling and Ethan, but standing next to the operating table watching the doctors revive him. Later, he realized his perspective could change freely. Initially, it felt like he was a stranger beside himself, observing without a camera. Then, with a view shift, he was at the ceiling, watching himself revived. His perspective change wasn't moving, more like teleporting. It's a bit like in a movie when the camera switches between multiple angles, and he watched like this for a long time. He realized, I must be dead, and thought this might be what people refer to as an out-of-body experience. He remembered clearly that his condition on the operating table was very bad. His arms, legs, and ribs were all broken, and one side of his skull was fractured. But interestingly, he was unable to perceive any pain whatsoever.
Not confined within the boundaries of the physical body, no, but his...
This sense of being is real. And he perceived that his consciousness genuinely existed and was remarkably clear. Subsequently, he transitioned his awareness to the area outside the operating room, where there was an extended sofa, and he remained seated on that sofa for numerous hours. He suddenly discovered another issue, which was that no one walking around could see him. Whether he was in the ward, outside the ward, or in the hallway, even when standing in front of the doctors and nurses.
Did no one notice him in front? Did he look in the mirror?
Can he see his own hand? Yes, he can see his own hand and his body wearing clothes. Yes, wearing clothes. And it's the clothes from that day, right?
Ordinary clothing, neat and tidy, no. He said that he waved to others, trying to get their attention to see if anyone could see him. It turned out that no one could see him, and he could pass through other people's bodies. You mentioned a very important point, which is that he never walks anywhere. It's always a perspective switch. He transitioned to standing in front of others and then came to the realization that those individuals were unintentional, yet none of them passed through his body. It is due to a variety of peculiar reasons that he would choose to avoid you. Whenever he found himself in front, he would simply sidestep and move over there. He was uncertain why individuals wouldn't walk through him, but somehow, whether intentionally or unintentionally, these individuals would just walk past him. Even though he wasn't sitting on that sofa for a whole day, surprisingly, other people came to sit there, but no one sat on him.
Is it common that our sofa frequently has individuals sitting upon it because...
Nobody ever sits there. Isn't it peculiar that no one ever sits there, right? Now everyone finally understands why we choose to sit in the front, as it's always full of people. You can't see or perceive who's in that space, but your body just knows. So you will not sit here or proceed towards that location. Your protective guardian spirit might be safeguarding you in this manner, for instance, if it is hazardous to advance. He stands before you to keep you safe. like a guardian angel. He mentioned hearing that when someone passes, an angel, or figures like the black and white impermanents or Oxhead and Horseface would greet them in the afterlife. He even thought about whether deceased relatives might come to meet him. But he remained there for numerous days and nothing manifested. That television.
Didn't the show portray them as having a radius? Yes, because he hasn't died yet. He can't ask for his body from the hospital.
There was indeed a death, and gradually, he started to get anxious because there was no one he could communicate with. This sense of loneliness made him very fearful. In fact, this person was in resuscitation for a whole week.
Can he leave the hospital? Can he go home now that he seems better?
Yes, he stayed in the hospital for a week without food or water. He said that he didn't feel any discomfort, not even for a week. His condition was very critical at the time because when he arrived at the hospital, his right brain had hit the truck, shattered directly, and was immediately treated as brain dead. The doctor said that even if they saved him, he'd probably be in a vegetative state. Amazingly, he woke up after a week. Even more astonishing is that he almost had no after effects. There's now a big void in his right brain, but he hasn't faced any after effects, which is viewed as a medical miracle.
Could it be because he didn't distance himself too far from his body?
It's definitely possible.
Some people hurry to locate their loved ones, indeed.
Once you go too far, you might not get another chance. The soul, the spirit can't come back, right? So everyone, remember this.
Stay close.
Too far, yes, always be ready to go back, right? So after he woke up, he gradually recovered and hasn't attempted suicide again until today.
How would someone think like that at 18?
Why did he choose to? Why? Wanting to turn oneself in isn't the same as having depression, right? He was frail and sickly since childhood, and people around him bullied him. When he was about 17 or 18, he encountered a motorcycle for the first time and found it very interesting. He started riding the motorcycle every day without working. His parents kept urging him, saying he should go out and work, but he didn't want to work. Over time, I became very depressed and eventually decided to commit suicide. It was just such a process, simply because I didn't want to work. Yes, that's his life. Nothing good happened from childhood to adulthood, just because of poor health. However, after a near-death experience, this person became particularly strong. Well, that's great, and he never attempted suicide again. He said that week in the hospital made him feel. It's akin to a being trapped in a perpetual inferno, where no one is able to communicate with him and no one is able to see him, leaving the world with only his presence. He is uncertain about how long this condition will endure. Nobody guided him towards reincarnation, nor did anyone escort him to either heaven or hell. He was merely existing in a world that resembled a void. This suffering led him to realize the previous world was quite favorable, and he felt being alive was genuinely pleasant, so he refrained.
No more suicide. Sometimes it's just a subjective feeling. Yes, the same thing, just a different approach.
Once you've hit rock bottom, you'll find that things are pretty good now. Actually, in 1992, a Japanese TV station conducted a survey of 61 people who had near-death experiences and found that 80% of them underwent significant changes in their outlook on life, values, and worldview after experiencing death, as if they had gained some profound insight. Afterward, they feel much relieved. The chase for a materialistic life lessens, and they stop worrying about many things. Some people even develop a sense of mission, feeling that death has spared them. They certainly hope to accomplish something in this world, and many people have this mindset, which is often very positive. It's like people who have been through a serious illness. They tend to pay special attention to their health. That's the principle. Once you've experienced a near-death situation, you'll understand that everything in life is very meaningful. This particular case is from 1982. In fact, during the 1970s and 1980s, there was a surge of near-death experience cases, both in the United States and Japan. Is this a bug? This is not something, it's actually not a bug. Some people say that there might have been a near-death experience trend at that time, and many people just made up stories about having near-death experiences to attract attention. But in fact, it's not like that. It could be a bug in our virtual world, or it might not be. But actually, the reason given later is that during the 70s and 80s, there was rapid advancement in medical technology, and many people who couldn't be saved before were saved. Numerous near-death experiences began to surface.
Now there should be more, right? It will just increase.
Real research on near-death experiences started increasingly last century. From the 70s and 80s of the last century up to now, there have been many. What truly popularized near-death experiences globally were not religious people, but scientists. They always try to explain this phenomenon scientifically. Religious people, on the other hand, do not sensationalize it because, in their view, near-death experiences are normal. It's odd you haven't had a near-death experience. Do you know how people studied near-death experiences before?
Scary, right?
Especially monks, this is their main duty. They have to study the afterlife. How do they research it? When the old monk is near death and seems like he can't hold on, they wake him and ask, "What did you see?" Once he speaks, they quickly note it down and pass it through generations for future study. Oh, Buddhism is like this. Can they really be woken up? If they can't be woken up, there's nothing that can be done. So when the old monks are about to die, it's very tough for them as it's part of their job. It's their last task in life, right? It's not like what people think, that the old monk just sits there and that's it. It's not like that. Every monk who passes away is very important. They're essential for afterlife study. Oh no!
The credibility is very high.
Oh, are you aware of how I discovered this information? There exists an ancient manuscript that discusses the afterlife, and it has been in existence for numerous years. It is a Japanese text, and it delves into this subject matter. It elaborates on how monks from the past documented this with a touch of symbolism. We'll discuss this book in detail later. Now, let's talk about the second near-death experience example. This one is also a case from Japan, and it happened in recent years involving an ordinary person. We only know that it was a woman, but we don't know her exact age. Her condition worsened, and she entered a near-death state. She said she saw a sea of flowers and a river, but unlike others, she saw many people standing in line, forming a very long queue. It was like they were lining up to buy something, and she didn't even know why she joined the line. There were all sorts of people in the line, young and old, men and women, and she found it quite strange. She noticed that everyone was holding a piece of paper, and suddenly realized she had a piece of paper in her hand too, with something like a QR code on it. So advanced. Then she looked ahead and saw a house. These people were actually lining up to enter a small house, so she went forward to see what was happening in that house. Upon closer inspection, the house looked like a convenience store. As they went inside, they reached the checkout counter and handed the paper to the clerk. The clerk took it and scanned it with a device. It's not like you have a lot of points or anything and then the person just went through. Then the next one is the sister. And after scanning, they ask, how many points do you have? Everyone has a different number of points. And he's puzzled, wondering what this thing is. What kind of points are these?
Points?
Oh, he almost turned back and asked the individuals around him, what precisely is this thing? Everyone said that this is the place after death, and you need to use this to live when you move from the world after death to another world. The more points you have, the richer you are. If your points are low, it's bad, with 0 being the lowest. Some might have 7,000 or even tens of thousands of points, and they can communicate. Oh, you can communicate, but it's very strange that everyone is standing in line without speaking. It's a bit eerie, a bit of a scary feeling, like something you've seen on TV. Ha!
Mengpo's soup crosses the Nai Bridge.
When everyone remained silent, he pondered, it must be due to the good deeds he performed during his lifetime. If you do lots of good deeds, you'll earn points. If you do bad deeds, points get deducted, maybe even go negative. Quiet folks say, no, no, no. That's not how you calculate it. What is considered a good deed and what is considered a bad deed can vary across different eras. For example, in the past, being brave and good at fighting was considered impressive, right? If you say now that I can fight well, that's not a good thing. For example, in ancient times, marrying 3 or 4 wives was seen as a contribution to society, right? You could have more children to help the country develop quickly, but now that's not possible, as we emphasize monogamy.
But they do.
It's evolving, isn't it? This standard can differ across various eras and may fluctuate in different nations. Oh, for example, when we eat pork, in some cultures and countries where they don't eat pork, it is considered a bad thing. You can't do such bad things, right? What we eat is very normal and a good thing. The standard for bad things is set by people themselves. It's not a heavenly measure to judge your points for the next world. So what is the standard? Well, the evaluation standard is how many new experiences you have. Oh no.
It's with that great spirit.
Is it the same? Oh, that's right. Actually, it is connected to the Hiowa language and the Omina language that we talk about. It's about how many new experiences and new adventures you've had while living. Each time you have a new life experience, do something you've never done before. Learn new knowledge, go to a new place, eat something you've never tried before, or see a new story, right? You've seen a new story. With new experiences, your experience points rise fast. You'll soon gather many points.
Then if we watch over 200 movies, what about yourself?
On the contrary, if you do nothing daily and only engage in repetitive tasks, your dedication level barely increases. It's not that you're inactive by doing mechanical tasks, it's just that the increase rate is slow. If you try something new, something you've never done, it can be stimulating for you. Points rise.
It's quite fast, so is this mechanism for us?
Isn't it for the Great Spirit? As mentioned in the Theoba prophecy, each of us is actually a fragment of a soul. What is our task? It is to experience this world and, ultimately, at the time of death, return to the Great Life, transmitting the experiences of our lifetime to the Great Spirit. Therefore, it is important for each soul fragment to collect more data and information. If you experience more in this lifetime, you will have more experience, and when you bring this experience back to the Great Spirit, it will correspondingly reward you. This reward manifests as the wealth you are born with in the subsequent world. Everyone undoubtedly has pondered this question. Why are certain individuals born into affluent families, while others find themselves born into impoverished ones? The reason lies in the differing experience points accumulated from our prior life. People with high experience points get rewarded, so they're born into rich families. This way, in their next life, they can use the money to experience more and bring back more experience points.
It wouldn't be like that. You can't just spend money without doing anything else, right? Didn't try anything new.
New experiences. If so, he might need to be poor in the life after. His reward system is quite reasonable. It rewards those who gather more information by converting it into money, allowing you to have a better next life. With this money, you can experience more things you haven't experienced before. After all, there are some experiences that you can only have with a certain amount of money, right? So, this creates a positive reward system, but Leaky has already experienced a lot in this life. The entity really has experienced a lot, right? In the next life, it might be a very wealthy dog, born into a very rich family.
In the next life, you might become a human.
It's possible, and in his near-death experience, you could say this is it.
A new experience doesn't have to be earth-shattering. If you've always eaten rice and try bread one day, that's a psychological experience too. How about exploring a food spot? Visit this one.
Going to the store is a new experience. The Great Spirit needs to know everything about this world, so the more information you can help him gather in your lifetime, the better. The more information he has, right? Ultimately, he might be able to upgrade, and his purpose could be to upgrade.
He wants more.
Angry Great Sage, how many are you? We don't know. We might not belong to the same Great Spirit Hall. It's possible you return to your Great Spirit, and I return to mine. Of course, the simplest way is to travel. Every time you visit a new country or city and meet new people, you gain a lot of experience. Right? These are all fresh experiences to meet new people.
People also count. They do.
So people who like adventure, travel, technological inventions, and challenging new things will definitely have high points after death. Then, in the next world, they become something big.
Symbols, and what's left is just...
Yes, a tycoon, born into a wealthy family.
How did the family's wealth decrease?
The reason for the family's decline is unavoidable. Your birth points are determined by your afterlife points. However, how you live in this world is up to you. If you don't seize the good foundation you've been given, then there's nothing that can be done.
That makes sense.
Not all poor people are the same. They have some opportunities, right?
These could be for others.
Not experienced it yet? That's right, everyone has a chance. People like you who are eager to try new things might just be the richest in the next life. Richest in your tribe. Of course, for those who don't believe in some great spirit or something very abstract, you can understand this issue by saying that our world is actually a virtual world, perfecting this virtual world.
Idiot.
Isn't it advantageous to be the wealthiest individual? Certainly, you can comprehend this matter in this manner, that our universe is essentially a virtual realm, and each one of us is, in fact, a small program within this realm. Our responsibility is to gather data, implying that if this virtual realm is to be continually enhanced, it necessitates being grounded on extensive data. Big data arises from each small program constantly giving feedback. For those small programs gathering more data, there will be
A reward system. Also, modern people find it easier to gather info than ancient ones.
As we progress from one generation to the next, we become increasingly wealthier. In general, individuals who possess greater wealth tend to create a larger number of new innovations, and this establishes a beneficial cycle. Furthermore, this mechanism may also provide an explanation for the reason our memories are erased with each new lifetime. On one hand, it is because our memory capacity is limited, so we need to format the accumulated information after sending it back to the Great Victory, clear out the outdated genes, and then continue the process of collecting new information. On the other hand, if we do not erase our memories, even if our capacity is sufficient, we might lose interest in new experiences due to having an excess of information, leading to a sort of inertia. I've had enough, I'm already enjoying it, and I'm very satisfied. And once the memory is completely cleared, everyone is born as a completely new and ignorant individual to the world, allowing them to experience everything anew without being limited by previous memories or thoughts.
Do you need that many of the same type in the building?
Do you need this kind of information? Actually, it's not exactly the same, just like when we use an iPhone to scan a face. It doesn't just go around once, it takes several turns to perfect it, even though it's the same face turning around. Then, constantly refining from every angle and detail, it's a tough process of perfection. The Great Spirit, without eyes, nose, or mouth, unable to see anything, relies on these soul fragments to finally gather, forming a complete dataset. Or you could say that this AI governs the world, whether it's the program that created the world or the system itself. It relies on these perception systems to gradually collect and refine the data. Only then can he completely understand and simulate this world. So, I think this near-death experience has unraveled a mystery of the world and answered many people's questions, right? It's about why we come to this world, which is to enjoy life. Talking about experiencing different lives, gathering info might feel tough, but it's about living various lives, which aren't always good. Yes, they might not all be good, but everyone should avoid crimes because if you do and get jailed, you won't have them.
You'll miss the chance to experience a new life because once you're in, it becomes a cycle. Yes, each day you gather fewer points.
Therefore, what everyone needs to do is not waste time, not imprison themselves in a small world, and try to be as optimistic as possible, actively enjoying our new life and new experiences. Moreover, a great thing about this mechanism is that you won't pin your hopes on the world after death. It will make you focus more on your current life. That's what it is.
What lesson? Oh, I get it.
After that, I don't really believe in this. It's just a near-death experience. This person, after experiencing a near-death situation, didn't feel much. He just realized that he should have done more things he hadn't done before, that's all. However, when we combine this with what we've talked about before, like the Thiauba prophecy, the Omina prophecy, and some other things we've discussed, looking at it all together, it seems like we're getting a sense of the basic logic of this world.
It's indeed quite reasonable, and even if you do this, there's no loss to yourself, only benefits.
Yes, it's urgent. When you think about it, if you've lived various lives in this lifetime, when you die, if it doesn't relate to this, you won't regret much. No matter how you were before, you can start now. If your life ahead is long and full of experiences, you'll be generous in your next life. This life will surely be refined.
Kaya used to mention that I would only plan up to 2 activities for myself in a single day. That's too limited.
You see what you want. How many points? So I guess in the next life, our audience will all be millionaires.
They watch me every Wednesday.
You're right. Every Wednesday is yours. Experience it. Just a touch.
Members have special gear? Yes. Watching others' videos feels like home.
Yeah.
But our point!
The price of oil has just been leveraged 400 times.